Good morning. We're looking at Psalm 55 this morning. As for me, I will call upon God, and the Lord shall save me. Evening and morning at noon will I cry and pray aloud, and he shall hear my voice. He hath delivered my soul in peace from the battle that was against me. For there were many with me. God shall hear and afflict them, even he that abideth of old. Psalm 55 was obviously written when David was fleeing from Absalom, his son, and his old acquaintance had turned against him, Ahithophel, and was giving counsel to his enemy to destroy him. And just a couple of things there. Ahithophel was Bathsheba's grandfather, and we see from other passages that he had allowed the bitterness of the situation where David sinned to be seated in his heart and waited 40 years till an opportunity came along. And then he tried to destroy David, and this is where David's praying to the Lord, and the Bible tells us that God defeated the counsel of Ahithophel, and Ahithophel's reaction to that was he went home and hung himself. Bitterness can cause you to do a lot of bad things. Bitterness doesn't hurt the person you're bitter at. It hurts you and you alone. But David, in this situation, said, this is a friend, my acquaintance, the person that loved and I took counsel with. He said, God, you take care of that situation. And too often, when pain comes from someone that's really close to us, we tend to personalize it and become bitter. And what we need to do is exactly what David did. He said, I'll come to the Lord at morning, noon, and night. And he said, I'll cry aloud before God, and I'll let God weigh the balances. Remember the story as David was fleeing from Absalom. One of the descendants of Saul came out and was throwing rocks at David, and his soldiers said, let's go up and kill him. And David said, don't do that. My sons rebelled against me. What more could happen? And you'll notice that he said, I'll let the Lord answer for me. And he did in a miraculous way. And so, Christian, as difficult as it is when you're in difficult situations and that anger rises up, a little bit of bitterness starts to take root, do as David did and just dig down and spend that time in prayer with the Lord morning, noon, and night. Cry aloud before God. He'll take care of it. Romans says, God's the one that'll recompense. He'll take care of weighing the balances out. We need to just faithfully serve the Lord. Friend, it's just not worth it to lose your testimony and to lose your relationship with God to get even with somebody that's done you wrong. And many times our perception of being done wrong, I love Joseph in the Bible. He said, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. 13 years he was lied about, put in prison, forgotten about, but he never once lost his confidence in God. And because of that, God rewarded him, and he was second in charge of all the then known world. Christian, God's plan is better than our plan. I'll say that 1,000 times. Sometimes it's difficult when we're going through circumstances or we're going through a trial, not to just lash out and let somebody have it, but don't do that. Just commit that thing to the Lord. He does a better job of taking care of problems than we do. And by the way, in those situations, it really reveals to us how much we trust the Lord. Over and over again, as you read through the Psalms, David said, I will trust in the Lord. I will get me to the rock that is higher than I. And that's our answer too, our remedy too. Let's get to the rock that is higher than we are, the Lord Jesus Christ. He'll take care of it. He'll give us the strength. He'll give us the power that we need to overcome in our lives. All we simply need to do is take the time to trust Him. Let's take that psalm and realize that that's a psalm of trust where David just put everything in the hands of the Lord, and it all turned out, and the Lord took care of it. God bless you, and realize God will take care of you too.